All right, so out of these body systems that we're going to cover, this is the one we'll spend the most time on. We will get into probably the most detail. All right, so when we talk about the circulatory system, there are some other names we might use. Cardiovascular system, it means the same thing as the circulatory system. What's the purpose of it? What is the main function of our circulatory system? Really? Okay, yeah. Why is that so important? If we don't have a supply of blood to a part of our body, it doesn't survive for very long. If our heart stops, we don't survive very long. So what is it about our cardiovascular system, our circulatory system, that is so important? Yes, it moves blood around, but why is that an important thing? Diksha?
It supplies oxygen to everything.
Yeah, because our blood supplies our cells with oxygen and nutrients, things in which they need in order to stay alive. And if they don't have those nutrients, if they don't have oxygen, then they can't survive. So we need a constant flow of blood to all of our body's tissue to keep us alive. But there's something else as well. Because our body cells and tissues in their normal metabolic processes produce waste material. What does our cardiovascular system do?
Filter out stuff.
It doesn't quite filter them out, but it starts that process. It picks up waste materials from our cells, and then it brings them to other organs to filter. All right, so purpose of our circulatory system is to deliver things like oxygen, nutrients, and remove the waste products. Colin?
Like you said that oxygen-rich blood doesn't get to certain tissues in our body, so they'll start to die.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we have a active heart, like our hearts aren't working, then why do we have a bunch of dead skin cells that just die all the time?
Cells also die due to their own programmed cell death. Like cells are programmed to only live a certain amount of time. So they can die for other reasons. So probably the main organ that you're familiar with is the heart. Okay. Heart is the pumping chamber, which moves blood around our body, takes it from place to place. We'll spend a fair amount of time talking about the heart, talking about the parts of the heart, and that's what we're going to start today. So first off, we're going to sort of build this up from a simple version to a more complex version. So obviously this is not the true shape of the heart, okay, or the lungs or the body, but this can help us start to think about the pattern of blood flow through our body. So to begin, we'll sort of start this picture in the right side of the heart. So the right side of the heart is the side of the heart, or it's the right atrium, this is called, is the chamber of the heart which is collecting the blood that's returning to our heart from various parts of our body. And so that blood that's returning from our brain or from our kidneys, from our quadricep muscles, from our intestines, that blood has already given up its oxygen and given up its nutrients. It's already supplied those to the various body tissues. And so it's coming back to the heart, and when it does, we call that deoxygenated blood. Comes into the right side of the heart. So this blood's low in oxygen. It's high in waste products like carbon dioxide, because it just picked up those things from our tissue. From this right side, it travels into the next chamber, which is a pumping chamber. This is called the right ventricle. And its job of the right ventricle is to take this deoxygenated blood and pump it out to the lungs. Because the lungs is where this blood, what's going to happen to the blood when it reaches our lungs?
Get oxygenated.
It's going to become oxygenated. It's going to pick up new oxygen. what's going to happen to the carbon dioxide?
Release.
It's going to be released.
Let's go.
And so the lungs are where that happens. The lungs pick up oxygen, release carbon dioxide. And then where do you think that blood is going to travel next? See it? Yeah. It's going to come back to the heart, but this time it's coming to the opposite side of the heart. It's going to come into the left atrium. The left atrium collects all of this oxygenated blood from the lungs. It's high in oxygen, low in carbon dioxide. That's called oxygenated blood. From there, the blood travels into the left ventricle. Where's this blood going to go?
Our body.
It's going to go everywhere. It's going to be pumped out of this left ventricle of the heart and be pumped to all parts of the body. When we say the body, we can mean any tissue anywhere in the body. When the blood reaches our body cells, what happens to it?
Goes to the right side.
What does our blood do when it reaches our various body tissues? See it? Collects them. What did you say, Ollie? It gives. Our blood gives our body cells oxygen that they need, nutrients that they need. And what does our blood take away from those body cells?
Waste.
The waste products. And then it becomes deoxygenated blood. What's the next destination for this blood?
Right side.
Back to the right side of the heart, and this whole process can repeat. Now, what's with the colors here?
Oh. You know. Deoxygenated blood that doesn't or hasn't like been in contact with oxygen is blue.
That is a common misconception.
No,
So
it's true.
people say that all the time, right? Even maybe sometimes like your teachers may have said that in the past. It's actually not true. So deoxygenated blood, it is a slightly different color than oxygenated
That's
blood.
what I meant.
Oxygenated blood is bright red. When blood cells pick up oxygen, they are bright red. When blood doesn't have oxygen, it's like a darker red or maybe close to a purple. It is not blue. However, we still use, to help us like understand when blood is oxygenated, not oftentimes we use the colors, not because the blood actually looks like that,
Yeah.
but just so we can understand the flow of blood.
Yes,
So
right.
blue represents deoxygenated blood here, red represents oxygenated blood.
I just
So the
understand.
right side of the heart
Whoa.
is the side that handles the deoxygenated blood. The left side of the heart handles the oxygenated blood. And in the lungs and in the body is where the blood transitions from oxygenated to deoxygenated.
Oh.
All right, so we're starting to get a little bit more realistic. Not quite so realistic, but this is a diagram, a model of the heart, which will help us label some of the parts. Question out?
They pass around that.
Eventually,
part?
once we talk about the real.
All right.
All right, so we'll follow the same sort of pattern. Now, we will talk about arteries and veins in a couple days. But arteries are blood vessels that bring the blood away from the heart. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, by definition. Veins carry blood to the heart. All right. So let's start with the right atrium. Let's change it. Now, why is this on, say, right atrium? What's our logic there? Tell us. Yeah, we always talk about anatomy as if this is inside of an organism and we're looking into its ventral side, its belly side. So that would be this organism's right atrium, right ventricle. So what chamber is this?
Left atrium.
Left. All right, let's start with this blood here, coming into the right atrium. It comes through two main, are these arteries or veins? They're veins. This is bringing blood to the heart. These two veins are called the Vena Cava. It's called the superior Vena Cava is the top one, inferior Vena Cava is the bottom one.
Isn't that the biggest,
Yes, biggest vein.
what's called, boys?
And so as this deoxygenated blood enters the right atrium, it passes into the right ventricle. Now these, it's not really shown very well here, but there are valves along the way. Valves are special structures within the heart, within the cardiovascular system, that make sure blood only goes in one direction. So the blood can only pass through. It's like a one-way door. From there, that blood goes up through this blood vessel. Is this an artery or a vein? It's an artery. It's going away from the heart. Where is this blood going? No, it's going to the lungs. There's a word that means having to do with the lungs. It's pulmonary.
Oh yeah, your pulmonary artery.
This is the pulmonary artery, which carries the blood where?
To the lungs.
Pulmonary, it's bringing the blood to the lungs. What does CPR stand for? Anyone know? Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Cardio, meaning chest compressions to make someone's heart beat. Pulmonary, rescue breathing, inflate someone's lungs if they're not breathing on their own. That's the C and the P of CPR. Resuscitation means to restart something.
What's the R stand for?
Resuscitation.
That's
Ali?
what I was thinking of.
What?
CPR has the same
Jack. I'm sorry?
Does the CPR have the same effect as the defibrillator?
No. So CPR is when a heart is stopped. You can compress it by pressing on someone's sternum to make it to squish it together so it beats. A defibrillator stops an irregular heart rhythm. So when the heart's not beating properly. So kind of two different things. Good question. So that's going to the lungs, this blood. When it comes back into the heart, where is it coming into?
The left atrium.
Left atrium. Blood coming in from the lungs, are these arteries or veins?
Veins.
They're veins. Since they're coming from the lungs, what do you think they're called?
Pulmonary veins.
Pulmonary veins.
Let's go.
That blood goes into the left ventricle. Is this into the left atrium, down in the left ventricle? Then it's going where?
To the body.
Is this an artery or vein?
Artery.
It has a special name.
The big one.
The main artery that brings the blood out of the left ventricle
The main artery.
is called the aorta.
Oh, I've heard of that.
And where's that blood going?
The rest of the body.
Everywhere. The aorta branches off, and arteries bring that blood throughout all the other parts of the body. Perfect timing.